RPG Maker games, known as the crappy RPG games that you quickly scroll past during the Steam Summer Sale, doing your best to avoid. RPG Maker is known for such great hits such as A Girl with a Big Sword. Oh good, touch controls and no music. Exactly what I want in my RPG game. Or perhaps you are more interested in Arvan, a game where even the mouse somehow cannot run at 30 frames per second. Or maybe you want to be even more edgy, in which case you can check out Soul of the Devil. That's weird. I don't remember RPG Maker being able to do 3D CGI graphics. Why don't we go ahead and see what gameplay is like? Oh, it's just more touch controls. Great, exactly what I was looking for. I guess it really does have the soul of the devil behind it. But surprisingly enough, there are actually some good RPG Maker games. And today we're going to be talking about probably my favorite one, Mad Father. The game actually starts off pretty strong with our main character, Aya, waiting outside of her father's lab, eavesdropping on whatever it is that he is doing in there. Soon after, we are actually introduced to Aya's now deceased mother, who has rather large personality. Soon after, we actually get the game's first jump scare. You might think it'd be a little hard to pull off jump scares in a pixelated game, especially in RPG Maker, but that's why they had to do it very carefully. In my opinion, it is done very well. This scene that you're about to see actually stuck with me for a long time. It is actually probably the first thing I think of when I think of Mad Father. Now, not all scares are done quite at the forefront like that. There are actually a few that are a lot more subtle that you might not even notice your first time through the game. But really, if you do, they freak me the out. Now, I'm not trying to say here that the jump scares are all non predictable because some of them very much are. However, even the predictable ones are done so well that you can really forgive the developer of the game for the fact that you definitely saw it coming. As you're going to see in the next clip, you're going to see a photo frame on one side and a photo frame on the other. But the one photo frame is much lower down. It's actually on the ground level. And it makes it pretty obvious what's about to happen. Now, I know, QuickTime events. Most people don't care for these, and I don't blame them. I actually hated QuickTime events as a kid. I remember I would be playing a game and get to a cutscene and think, okay, cool, I can take a drink or send a text. And so I gotta pick up my phone, and then I get crushed by a boulder. And in order to retaliate, I gotta throw my phone down, I press send, and instead of sending the person I'm texting that I love yogurt, now I'm confessing my love to somebody who can barely even tolerate me. But I can easily forgive Mad Father for this because it kind of is something that makes up the gameplay a little bit. And as I said, this is actually an older game. So at the time, QuickTime events were more common. I don't think the hate for them was really as big as it is now. Another scene that really stuck with me was also from the beginning of the game. It was actually just after that initial jump scare. You have a voice that's calling out to you to try and assist you, telling you to run the other way. So when you do, you actually come across this boy with blonde hair, and at first you're thinking, okay, cool, this guy can help me. Then he turns around and he is missing his eye. Now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever somebody with a disability offers to help me, I just gotta go the other way. Like, the monsters are obviously the safer choice. Just go back. So next we're actually going to talk about flashbacks. In my opinion, flashbacks are not used nearly often enough in RPG games, especially older ones, When you would begin the game, you would get a just giant wall of text of all the stuff you have to read about characters that you do not know and do not yet care about. So more than likely, you all just skipped those because you don't know if the game's even going to be any good. Why waste 5 minutes reading this dialogue when you could get into the actual gameplay? Mad Father does that very well. There is no wall of text at the beginning, the game just starts. As the game progresses, you actually gain relevant background information as you go along. It gives you a reason to care about the flashback and about the information that you're hearing, and not just forcing it upon you at the very start of the game. Okay, I know, you guys don't want to see sepia tone cutscenes, you just want some violence. So how about we just throw a f***ing chainsaw into the mix for just about no reason other than just to give the character a chainsaw. Much like giving an 11-year-old a chainsaw, the game actually tries to mix up gameplay in a very interesting way by adding stealth sections. These are actually really well done. It's almost like playing Pokemon when you're trying to avoid trainers because you don't want the experience because you're a dumb 11-year-old. Except they actually have a cone radius. Sometimes it's a little finicky, but it really does make sense all around. It's basically, do you think they can see you? Yes, then they can see you. Oh, did I mention that I suck at stealth games? Another interesting gameplay mix-up that I actually really enjoyed was where the game let you play as Snowball, which is actually Aya's pet rabbit. While not much really came of this section, and it only ever happened once, it was still really interesting. It's something that the developer did not have to add, but the game is better for it. Too bad in the end, Snowball dies. Nah, I'm just kidding, Snowball's fine. Probably the biggest selling point of Mad Father has to be the interactions with the ghosts and just other characters that you find in the giant house. At one point, there's actually a ghost who is starving. Now, you can be a monster and let him starve, or you can take your chainsaw, go cut a hunk of ham, cook it on the stove, and then feed it to him. Which is rather interesting, as he's actually not a ghost that tries to kill you, unlike a lot of them. And it's really cool seeing stuff like that where not everybody and everything in the house is out to get you. In another section of the game, you're actually going through a hallway, but every time you go to the end, it loops back again. Eventually you find a ghost who admits, via head nods, that she's actually keeping you there. So you agree to take her outside, and she lets the hallway loop back from where you came from. She begins following you around, and probably the coolest thing in the game happens. You're walking through a corridor, and then she just disappears. Now, of course, after this, you actually take over as her. It's kind of like a flashback from back when she was still alive, but I think the fact that you got to play as her was just super interesting. Now, another thing that Mad Father does well are puzzles. There's actually a good amount in the game, but here I'm just going to go ahead and showcase one of them as to not spoil all of the answers. You actually are given a note that contains 4 things that you have to do in order to get the passcode for a safe. Now, I've censored out numbers 1, 2, and 4 to prevent you guys from being able to use this video and getting the answers right away. I'd rather you just kind of learn it by yourselves when you play through the game. However, number 3, you actually have to go to the doll room and count the number of red dolls that you find in this room. You think it'd be pretty simple, right? There are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. However, if you go to import the code, you'll learn that it's actually not correct. If you go back and you look up at the top in the curtains, you're going to see 2 bulging spots in the curtains, much like Aya's mother. Inside of those, if you open the curtain, are actually 2 more red dolls. Therefore, the number you actually needed was 8. Something that you wouldn't have realized unless you explored the otherwise pretty uninteresting room. The last thing I actually wanted to talk about was something that really hit me in the feels that the developer really paid good attention to. Late in the game, you actually learn that the blonde boy was actually trying to help you and Io is being a dumb 11-year-old. However, they have a minor disagreement, and Aya's father's helper throws a knife of some kind into his head and kills him. However, that is actually not the interesting part. See, after Maria kills the blonde boy, she actually walks over his dead body. Now understand, this is something that you could do with every other dead body in the game. Your character didn't care. You can walk over whatever the hell you want as long as her little legs can get over it. But not in this case. If you actually try to walk over his body, the game won't let you. Aya refuses to walk on him because she realized that he was a good person and actually sympathizes with his death. As we saw, it's possible. It's not like they put a block there so you can't walk there, because we saw Maria do it. But the developer specifically blocked Aya from being able to walk on his body. It's something that most people probably won't even notice. But it's really interesting. It kind of shows Aya as a character realizing that these bodies actually belong to people, and that this was somebody that she cared about, even if she only knew him for a brief period of time. In the end, Madfaller is probably the best RPG Maker game ever made. I know some of you are going to be throwing out other names for other RPG Maker games that I don't know, because I don't want to scroll through pages of bad games to find one good hidden gem. But if you guys are interested in playing this game, understand that it's very accessible. See, not only is it just $5 on Steam, which, if you enjoy the developer Shin, if you enjoy his work, please buy it on there and support him. But if you don't have the money, the game is actually free online. See, back in the day, I don't think he knew how good this game was going to be, because he released it for free online. It wasn't until I think a few years later that he released it on Steam. However, that online version is still there today. You can still go download it. I will actually leave a link below. I think it's really cool that he kept that link up, despite the fact that he can now make money off of it on Steam, because it's kind of how it actually started. You know, it was a free game that he didn't realize, as far as my interpretation goes, he didn't realize it was going to be as big as it was. Now, I'm sure the Steam has better updates and some other, changes that make the game, better quality of life. I actually have not played that version yet, but just to show you guys, I did go out and buy it while I was recording this video, just to support the person who made this game. Thank you guys for watching, and a huge thanks for sticking through to the end. This is my first video in this kind of format, and I would like to keep doing it. I'm sure you guys could tell. It's kind of hard for me to talk to a camera. I got used to it on Twitch, but this is different. This isn't live. I don't get live reactions. So this has been a weird adjustment for me, but as you can see, as the video went on, it got a little better. So we're going to see how that keeps going. You might have also noticed that I blink a lot. I have a pressure issue with my eyes. I do apologize. I'm sure it's a little off-putting for some of you. It is what it is. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Please leave a like down below and subscribe for more videos like this. I'm going to try and get these out as soon as I can. I'm still working on the setup. None of this is finalized. None of this is done. There's actually going to be a couch right here in front of me. I don't know how I'm going to work with that, but we're going to figure it out. Here in a second, we're actually going to be showing some outtakes from the editing process, as it was a struggle, I'm not going to lie. I'm not very good at this. So before we get into the outtakes, I just wanted to apologize for something. I realized that the audio was messed up at a few points, and that's actually because I had this fan on during a few parts. I tried to do the best I could to suppress the sound. Didn't work out that well. So I do apologize for that. I will definitely correct that in future videos. This is the hottest room in the house, and it drives me absolutely insane. I have to have the door closed while I'm in here recording due to ambient noise. I have to have the fan off. There's not much that I can do, and I'm literally pouring a sweat the whole time. I have paper towels on my desk I'm using just to wipe away sweat between takes. So yeah, here are the outtakes. But, surprisingly enough, there are actually I said shum. The fuck? A scene of Aya, our main character, eavesdropping on her father. I can't do English. Back and tell you the relevant information. I am getting a phone call. That was bad timing. Hello? Info from inspecting objects, but you also just get it as the story progresses, giving you relevant information as it happens. I f***ed that up. Gameplay in other ways. For example, we actually have really interesting stealth sections. Okay, we're just gonna do a quick test. Oh god, there's a lag. I wonder if the audio is gonna be off. Say hi, Anna. Shut your